Social media in your organization. You might have a person, you might have a team, you might have volunteers, staff, contractors, whatever it may be. You might be wondering, first of all, what exactly does it take and what do they do all day, these social media people? But more than that, how is it that we could see more results? So today in WordMade Digital Tutorials, we're talking about social media strategy and social media management and how they work together. Hello, my friends. Welcome to WordMade Digital Tutorials. My name's Joanna LaFleur, and this whole series of tutorials is about helping you and your organization communicate the best news in the world. What you're doing matters in the world, but the world has changed so much in the digital age. And so this whole series of tutorials that we offer you for free with the support of sponsors enables you to be better at the craft. And so thank you so much to the sponsor today, the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities, who is making this possible. The 4 C's, we're going to talk about them later, but we don't want you to miss the link down in the show notes. So stick around till then or check the link right now. I've worked with a lot of churches and a lot of organizations over the last number of years, and I've seen this pattern over and over where I think people think social media, young people know social media. Let's hire a young person or an intern. They seem savvy around how Instagram is cool or what the trends are on TikTok or whatever it is. And typically an older senior person is making a decision to hire or to mobilize a team of volunteers, whichever it may be, but they don't really fully understand how social media works. And so just because you've hired a young person or appointed a young person into the role doesn't mean that you're going to see success on social media. Here's why. At the end of the day, there's just a difference between social media management and social media strategy. And so in this video, we want to break down what those things are and then how they work together. In order to be successful in social media, really what you need is a roadmap to success. It's kind of like the analogy of saying we all want to go to Disney World, but we don't know how we're getting there. We don't know where we're meeting. Are we taking a plane? Are we driving in a car? Are we going to meet first thing at the front? Are we going to meet somewhere inside? If we don't all have an agreed upon roadmap and plan of getting there, we're probably all going to somehow get there, but maybe not all together, maybe not too happy. And we may not ever meet up when we get there trying to meet up. The point I'm trying to make is we need a plan. Just like on a trip, you need a plan on social media to know where you're going, how you're going to get there, and an agreed upon script so that everyone knows how to go there at the same time, the same direction. And so with social media, without a plan in place, we often see that there's a lack of voice. There might be a lot of mixed messages, or maybe we are just reacting to things that are happening in the world or in our community, in our church or context, and not being proactive about what we could do to reach out and to build our community. And then we don't really see the results that we hoped for. We need a plan and we need a common shared roadmap. So when we talk about this roadmap, let's think about this like the social media strategist. The social media strategist is someone who is probably not in the day-to-day workings of your social media. There's someone who is building a strategy. It might be someone you already have on your team. It might be someone you bring in from outside. Whichever way it comes, this is a person who's focused on thinking about the big picture, thinking about the voice, thinking about the big key ideas we want to get across overall in our social media. Like, what are the most important things we always talk about as a church community, or what are our fundraising goals for the year, or whatever it may be. We want to be focusing on the large-scale strategy of how we're going to get there. A social media strategist will probably also do a lot of research and look at the data, not just the data of how your own social media platforms are working, but in general, what is the data, what's going on in social media right now? It's a constantly changing beast. And so if it's constantly changing, what it means is we need someone who's strategizing based on what really is going on right now in this month, in this year of the calendar. And so they're looking not just at research and data of what's working for your community, for your social media, by getting that data and kind of analyzing, oh, these posts people really seem to like, and these posts didn't seem to get a lot of traction. When we ask questions like this, people connect. When we ask questions like this, we get crickets. They're trying to look at patterns and data of your own social media to build a strategy, but also Importantly, they're looking at broad trends, cultural trends, social trends, and trends in what these social media companies themselves are promoting, whether that's video or it's carousels or it's short form or it's long form or it's a long caption or a short. There's so many things that are changing that you can tweak in all these different dials, and the strategist is trying to build that out, make that plan proactively based on the data that they receive. So a social media strategist is not someone who's probably in the day-to-day of your social media calendar, planning, posting, graphic design, writing, all that kind of stuff. A social media strategist is probably someone who comes in once a month, once a quarter, or once a year to make a plan, give the roadmap, and then hand it over to the driver, which is the social media manager. So let's now talk about a social media manager and how that differs from the strategist. A social media manager is in the day-to-day of your social media, and they are running the game plan given to them. They are working the roadmap given to them by the strategist. It's usually not the same person. And the reason is because they're often different skills or different levels of experience. A manager can be someone who is less experienced and someone who might be volunteers, might be interns, might be that type of person who's curious, excited, interested. They have some administrative skills to make sure things get out on time, or they're developing those skills. But they don't need to think about those larger trends, strategies, research, the psychology, the brand trends, all that stuff that happens behind the scenes for a strategist to make a plan that's going to see success for your organization. The social media manager is responsible for ensuring that your organization, your church, your charity shows up regularly on the targeted social media platforms that the strategist has decided. And then they're going to be doing things like responding to comments. They're going to be doing things like giving data reports to the strategist at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter so that they can make larger decisions. They might work in tandem together. It doesn't have to be exactly separated, but usually the person who's doing the day-to-day is operating like comments and feedback and posts and building graphics and writing content and making sure things are happening across all these platforms you want to appear on in a consistent way, while the strategist is making decisions about the big picture. With these two wheels on the bike working together, the management and the strategy, you're getting a data-focused approach. You're getting real feedback on what's working while also seeing something go on in the day-to-day. And here's why this matters. Social media management versus strategy in the church or the charity context is because often you don't see results because you have a manager who's expected to be both the manager and the strategist. And most people can't do both. Or at least if someone is very good at the strategy level, they are bored with doing the day-to-day. Or if someone is really good at doing the day-to-day, they're so in the depths of it, they probably aren't able fully to think about the big picture and have time to also figure out what the data is, what the trends are, and all that kind of stuff. It usually isn't the same person. And so here's what I would recommend to you as a community. I would recommend in your organization that you get social media strategy either from outside or a more senior and experienced person if you have them in your organization. Then they can direct and give the roadmap to the social media manager, who could be whether that's one person who's a junior person on the team, or it can be actually a team of volunteers who are helping to manage the social media while it's being monitored by the strategist. So maybe, for example, in a church context, it might look like the communications director or the youth pastor, who really is also the media director, is going to be doing the strategy level stuff. And then someone who's maybe a project manager, who's an administrator, or a team of volunteers can be mobilized to manage it. They can work the plan. The strategist and the manager, that is almost like the coach and the players. They can play this game together being directed. It's an amazing thing, and you're going to see amazing results if you don't try to make the same thing in one person. Don't try to have these two things shoved into one kind of person. They're usually going to be different people. And I hope when I'm saying this, you don't hear me say that I think one is better than the other, because of course, well-planned strategy, you can have all these ideas that are amazing, and you know how Instagram works, and you can anticipate the new trends on TikTok. You can have all of this data and research and psychology. And if you don't execute on it, if you don't actually do it and post regularly, consistently, and engage with the community, the plan is useless. Strategy and management must go together. I hope you've been having some aha moments here, realizing maybe there's some disconnect in your management and strategy. And I hope that you're going to be able to have those work more in tandem together. There's so much to think about when you're running an organization. Of course, you're not going to be an expert at all this stuff. It's one of the reasons that I love the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities. As a ministry leader in Canada, you need to be focused on your mission, but there's lots of things to do with the methods, to do with the strategies of running an organization and running a charity in Canada that is probably more outside your expertise and more than you can possibly think of in the day-to-day of running the organization. There's so much to think about when you're running a charity in a church in Canada. We're thinking about HR and governance and tax issues. It's endless. There's so many things, but the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities helps its members. They're a ministry too that serves its members by acting almost like an additional team on your team, bringing expertise that you may not already have. So if you're running a church or charity in Canada, I want you to check this out. There are a number of free resources and webinars offered by the 4Cs. And one of them that might interest you is a webinar called Welcome to Charity Leadership. So if you're new to this space, to churches and to charities in Canada, we encourage you to check it out. But there's tons of other free resources and webinars. You can go to cccc.org/free. That's 4cs.org/free. The link will be down in the show notes. Of course, it's here on the screen as well. We'd love to resource you because as you focus on ministry and mission, we want to help you with the methods. Thanks so much for checking out this Word Made Digital tutorial. We are so glad to help you. And if there's a tutorial you want us to create, maybe you have questions about something, we would love to hear from you. Leave something down in the comments, ask your questions, throw something out there. Say hello so that we can make sure we're offering you tutorials and resources that you really need. But check out the whole library of tutorials that we have to help you, and we'll see you on the next fresh tutorial next week.